Time we did, she was dancing inappropriately at a Lakers game in some insane clothing up on the Jumbotron, and then called it discrimination when people criticized her for doing so at a family event. In general, Lizzo has always been all about the body positivity, and really everything that comes with that sort of branding. She is almost like a walking Dove commercial at this point. But now recently, the pop star has found herself in some hot water after some of her former backup dancers have filed a lawsuit against her, alleging that Lizzo, much like Ellen DeGeneres, is actually a wolf in sheep's clothing and is just pretending to be pure when she's actually a bully herself. And that she's created a toxic work environment while on tour, ironically including body shaming these backup dancers, and essentially peer pressuring them to make them do things that they were not comfortable with. 3 of Lizzo's former backup dancers have filed a lawsuit against the singer, allegedly saying they were and subject to a toxic work environment while on tour. In an interview with CBS News on Wednesday, 2 of the plaintiffs, Ariana Davis and Crystal Williams, detailed some of the allegations made in their lawsuit, including being forced to touch a performer, and said that they feared for their jobs. And so just so you guys can kind of get a visual, this is Crystal Williams right here, and this is Ariana Davis. They're the 2 women kind of spearheading this lawsuit against Lizzo at this time. And much like all of her other backup dancers, I believe they were chosen, at least partially, because they are on the bigger side, and that was what the marketing behind this tour was all about. The women say dancers were not treated the same as other staff and crew on tour. I just think the standard for dancers in this camp was much more stringent and strict. Things that the other cast members could do and get away with. Essentially, the dancers were not allowed to engage in any of that activity. And they also say they were falsely accused of drinking before shows, which they say was never the case. In fact, alcohol was never even allowed in our dressing room or in our rider, which is the food and drinks provided to us, so it was physically impossible for us to do that. But we were the ones that were blamed for drinking on the job. It was stated to us by Lizzo. She was like, it doesn't matter if I'm doing it, doesn't matter if the band or anyone else is doing it, you guys can't do it. So far it doesn't seem like Lizzo is really doing anything too crazy besides kind of just being a hard-ass boss. They say following these conversations, they were both fired. The singer's company Big Girl Touring and dance team captain Shirley Quigley were both named as defendants in the suit filed Tuesday in Los Angeles County. And then they go on to say that the dance team captain Quigley was adamant about sharing her religion in the workplace, pushed it onto the dancers, and criticized those who did not believe what she believed. I mean, yeah, if this was like a regular work environment and someone up above you on the food chain was trying to like push religion on you, for example, I mean, in a normal work environment, you could go right to HR and they would shut that shit down immediately. They also said that Quigley and Lizzo pressured them into going to a show in Amsterdam's red light district where is legal. And this is where things really get bad. This is where they say that they were pressured into engaging with some sort of performer. At the time, we had been fearing for our jobs and being ostracized, so it's an understanding in the camp, if you don't participate, try to get in with Lizzo, you will not be booked on as many jobs, she won't like you as much, and that you will be ostracized later. So it sounds like they just kind of put their head down and kept working. And at this time, these are all allegations, but it does kind of sound a whole lot to me like what was going on with the Ellen DeGeneres show, where if Ellen didn't like you or you weren't like her right-hand man, you were essentially disposable to her, and she was going to treat you in a very inhumane way. So apparently during this Amsterdam show, things were getting very explicit, and this is when she said that Lizzo was going around inviting people to touch the performers I guess they had brought specifically into Amsterdam. And then it got to Davis's turn. Davis said Lizzo was chanting her name and pressuring her to touch the performer. Even though Davis said no multiple times, Davis said she eventually gave in and did it. I briefly touched the performer, and everyone started laughing. It was funny to them because, of all people, they see me as a very modest person. Me touching a person was hilarious to them, adding that she was mortified. Lizzo, whose real name is Melissa Jefferson, is known for being body positive and encouraging women to love themselves as they are. I guess here's where like the fat shaming comes in. Davis, however, claims that the star acted hypocritically. Davis alleges that when she expressed that she was proud of herself and her work on the tour, Lizzo said she was worried about her at one point because she had gained some weight. I believe she was trying to allude to the fact that I was gaining weight in a way that she wouldn't get cancelled. It sounded like you're fat, you're fired. It was never you're gaining too much weight. It was never blatant. It was very nuanced. I mean, I guess at this point, I'm just not really sure if they have grounds for this lawsuit, depending on, you know, what they signed in their contracts and things like that. To me, the most alarming thing is like the pressuring of touching this person. Davis claims that Lizzo and a choreographer allude to the fact that she gained weight and viewed the comments as concern for her, and that Lizzo told the dancers they should be grateful because dancers typically would get fired if they gain weight. Also adding that Lizzo's message of body positivity and equality for different races and genders is the one she identified with, and so when the opportunity to work for her came up, it was her absolute dream job. So yeah, if this is true, it is pretty sad because I'm sure a lot of opportunities these dancers miss out on because they're bigger, they don't really fit that type of bill, they wouldn't really fit in with other dancers. And so to finally get this type of opportunity and to be shown off in this way, you would think would be like a very proud moment of their life. And then they allegedly turn around and fire you for the very thing they hired you for. Everything that she stands for as an artist is a big reason as to why I think people stand behind her as much as they do. Yeah, I mean, that is a huge part of her marketing. It's a huge part of her general message.
The term body positive technically